Ruslan.
Okay.
Before I ask my question, because I think I know what I'm definitely going to ask you.
Okay.
I got to apologize.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a hater, because I'm a faithful watcher. I watch your stuff like every day, and for the most part, I'm like, yo, I like your stuff. But like I was coming off a little judgy. Now I will say I grew up in the church, but I didn't. During the pandemic, the lockdown, that's when I would say God called me back to him.
Amen.
It's new to me. However, I'm familiar with the theology, and what really got me into it was the more intellectual side.
Okay.
But I definitely know that I need some growth in the spiritual sense of it.
Cool.
But I was judgy. And like, I think going into it, I don't know if this is the same for everyone else who's like kind of new to the faith on the intellectual side, but like I was taking in like a lot of, and again, not to come at these guys, like a lot of like Calvinist stuff. And I was like super like, and there were some things that you said. And also I'm very old fashioned, and like, I hate like pretty much everything that's going on in the culture nowadays. Like, I'm so cynical.
I hate everything.
I'm the George Costanza of the Christian world. So
your
like,
level of introspection and self-awareness is much appreciated, my guy. Keep going. Keep going. I'm really curious where this question leads to. This might be the best call we've had in a long time.
So there were certain things that, like you said, just like over time, which like little meaningless things.
Okay.
I'd just be like, this guy, like, what's he talking about? Like oh my god, like he's one of these woke it makes me want to vomit. Like I wish there was a vomit reaction on Facebook. Like and if I'm honest,
keep going, this is good.
I would say like the past like 3 weeks, I don't know if it was the uploads, I don't know what it is, maybe hopefully God's just working in me. I mean, if I'm honest, I would say it's probably not that. It's probably just the videos you've been uploading.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Like I was hating. I even commented, like it might have been like 3 times. I wrote like these really belligerent like manifestos in your videos. I was like, well, you know, you're kind of a hypocrite.
Anything more than 2 paragraphs usually never makes it through. Just so you guys know, if you guys like, just send me a DM on Instagram, because if it's more than 2 paragraphs, I might have sent
a paragraph.
Okay, a paragraph. I usually see those.
So just again, a little backstory before I kind of get into. It's kind of a question, comment. I want to know what, like, I want to talk about it with you.
Yeah. Let's do it.
I recently, and again, I'm married.
Okay.
I recently got out of what I would call the red pill cult.
Okay.
I got out of that stuff.
Okay.
And get this, I was showing my wife this content.
Okay.
And she, for the most part, and I have to stand by like my opinions. Now, if a few more months go by and I come to more realization, who knows? But as of right now, I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of truths to this stuff. However, you want to know what did it was when the Fresh and Fit thing happened, like initially, when it pretty much came out that they were complete frauds.
Yep.
And what's interesting about it is like, it was like a light bulb came out. Like me and my wife was watching Kevin Samuels more than I was. Like that's how like much like it was like in my house, and like we would talk about it. And when that happened, I took a step back and I was like, well, wait, whoa, man, these cats aren't practicing what they preach. Let me start thinking about some of this stuff. What is your raw take on the red pill? Because if I'm honest, what it did for me was and this was at a time when I wasn't in scripture. I wasn't taking God seriously. However, it made me personally examine myself. And I was like, you know what? If this is how things are, if this is how women are, I'm not doing anything that's attractive or appealing. And it made me look at myself more than anything else. However, I've noticed with a lot of people on the internet and a lot of young men out there, basically they become the thing that they're saying they hate. They get stuck in this stagnant, weird, it is what it is, incel-y spot where they're just kind of blaming everything else. But it made me examine myself. And however, even though I got out of that and like it helped me in that way, I was consuming a bunch of that content and it still warped my view. I got married. Me and my wife did premarital counseling. We did baptism at our wedding. Like we had a very small, humble wedding. We went into it like wanting to do the right thing. And this is before we even got back. My wife got baptized 9 months pregnant. So like we did things like we're very blessed. We're very like, you know, and we're new to this.
Yeah.
But I was deep in that. And now I'm so embarrassed because I'm like, sometimes I go back and I look at some of like the channels and stuff that I used to watch, and I'm so embarrassed and disgusted. I'm like, I was feeding into this crap. However, I can't deny some of the things. So I just wanted to conversate and pick your brain, because you're the only Christian YouTuber
that talks about
even
it.
Touched about it. So please, just for a second.
So that's a great question. So here is the red pill community, or the men's improvement community, is a pretty broad spectrum. And this is Hafiz from the roommates kind of hipping me to a lot of this stuff, you know? So he came on and was very generous, and I've been on his channel. Super cool guy, identifies as a follower of Jesus. I think making a broad generalization about the red pill community would be similar, not to go back in metaphors, would be similar to me making a broad generalization about all Reformed folks or all Calvinists, right? It's like I don't want to speak too broadly, because we don't really know, I don't know enough about every pocket and corner and nook and cranny of that community to give you a generalization about it. Now, the fresh and fit stuff is just utter toxic. And I think we know it's toxic because the conclusion they come to is it's a pimp or be pimped world. And they said that is our worldview. So I think their stuff is like, if that's someone's conclusion and presupposition, that's dangerous. Like, that's dangerous to consume content from someone that is literally, and that's literally on some like 15, 16-year-old, my non-Christian dudes are like trying to pick up chicks, and that's the way they view the world. Like, I think that's super problematic. I think Hafiz and what the roommates do is different. There is some of that in there, but I don't think it's this combative men are bad. I mean,
they're the non-evil fresh and fit, like literally.
Yes, that's like, a great way to describe it.
It's like fresh and fit's like bizarro. Like fresh and fit is Venom, Hafiz, and Chris,
that's a great way.
Spider-Man.
Yes. So I think this stuff they do generally is pretty positive and helpful. Hafiz, the roommates. I don't have consumed all their videos just so miss me with the they said this about this random. I don't know, but the stuff I've seen, the stuff I've heard.
They mean well. I've watched.
They mean well. I think it's coming from a place. Yeah. Kevin Samuels, I think, is the one that I see as more deceptive, because he presents a lot of good information in terms of addressing the problems, but when you go down to his conclusions, I think they're very problematic in regards to high value men cheat and they should. That is a direct quote. High value men cheat and they should. That to me that's everything that's wrong with manhood, in my opinion. If you're going to strive to become so elite and so great, and then you're going to cheat and exercise options. And then yesterday he did a stream that I was almost going to call into, but I didn't know if it was a black only thing, because he was talking about last night he was talking about why sex work is cool and why you should why it's okay to pay for escorts. My buddy CP said it to me and was like, bro, this dude's on here talking about why it's okay to pay for escorts, and it's all dudes calling in and disagreeing with him, and he's like, give me an argument, and so it's like, so I almost called in, but then he made it more racial about like black men are taught to be the mandingo and be these overperformers of sex, and therefore don't let your ego be bruised if a girl. It just got weird, and I was like, yeah, I'm not.
Are we?
I'm not.
I don't know. Like,
that was the conclusion.
Let me know, because again, I was deep in the red pill stuff. I'm a black guy.
Yeah, he said it was because he racialized it. He said it was because black men see themselves as quote unquote sex objects, and they feel inferior if they have to pay for sex. It was weird. It got weird. So I just didn't call in, but I was really tempted to. So I think his stuff is dangerous, man, because he'll come out and say stuff like, y'all can't tell me nothing about Christianity. I did singles ministry. And it's like, whoa. And then he'll make a wild claim and a wild statement. So I think the Kevin Samuels stuff is very, very problematic, though I think he addresses some of the right some good assessments. I think he has some good assessments about what the problems are. So I think it's like any other community. Like if I listen to Ben Shapiro, right? He does a great job of assessing a lot of the issues on the far left, right? Or fill in the blank. They do a great job. The conclusions and the presuppositions, I think, is where I struggle with, right? So like I can enjoy a Ben Shapiro and be like, yo, yeah, this is a real problem. Like some of this stuff going on in California with Governor Newsom, these are real problems. But what conclusions do we get to? And those might differ.
I listen to Shapiro and I'm like, whoa, wait. Like it's like yeah. And then like he gives like his final statement, like, wait, what?
Yeah. And I think that's the part where if the conclusion is the left hates you and wants to see you dead, that's when I go, whoa, okay. By the way, the left hates you and wants to see you dead, so therefore give to Daily Wire. Become a Daily Wire partner for $20. That's when I go, okay, right? Because it's fear porn at that point. So if the conclusion is women want to pimp you and finesse you and marry you and divorce you and take all your money, therefore send Kevin Samuels a super chat or keep watching my content, that's when I go, okay, this is bad. This is problematic. If you say, hey, there's flawed women out there. Hey, there's flawed leftists out there. Hey, there's flawed people out there. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but the conclusion, in my opinion, shouldn't be, and they hate you and they want to kill you and take advantage of you. And I feel like when the conclusions become that, I think that's when I go, okay, this is no longer helpful for building, edifying. Like the scriptures say, whatever is good, whatever is true, whatever is noble, meditate on these things, right? And so that's how I view it is so I'm more of like a student. With Ben Shapiro specifically, I'm more of a student of how well he executes his presentations. Because he is, I think, a master communicator, and there is a way he infuses humor and a cadence with which he speaks, and then the way he flows in and out of his advertisements. I think he is very crafty. So I'm more of like or Kevin Samuels, the way I'm more of a student of like the craft. And that may sound weird because y'all are like, how are you consuming all this crazy stuff, right? I like the craft of a Kevin Samuels. Like I think
that makes sense. Yeah,
like, there's a craft.
Again,
there.
I'm relatively new to actually caring about being a disciple. So like I get, and I'm an artist. So like I watch horror movies and I'm like, well executed, not of God.
And some people can't compartmentalize like that, to be fair. Some people can't compartmentalize. I can. So that's my general assessment of the red pill. So there's some good assessments there. The conclusions I think are really, really, really harmful with some regards. But then I like what the roommates are doing. And I've intentionally started making more stuff to speak to men because men are like 70% of my audience. So let me speak to them. I got a video coming out on divorce. Why is divorce at 50% or whatever, going over divorce facts and how to avoid getting divorced. So I have a video coming out on stuff like that because I think there is a void for it. This is where I do think, if we're talking back to YouTube content creation, sorry if you didn't want to go back there, but I do think here is an opportunity for a Christian creator to crush it in, which is to create red pill rebuttals and red pill adjacent content that points back to Jesus.
You know, I was thinking that, but if I'm being completely honest, I got scared because I was deep in that stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be you blue pill Jesus.
I get a blue pill comment every day, but
what are you talking about?
Every day,
and I got horrified because I was so deep in the red pill stuff. I was like, I want to help men because like this is something that helped me. But then the more and more, and I'm so glad that happened. That first L that Fresh and Fit took really woke me up. Now I was still like consuming content, but like it really made me take a look at what was going on. And at the time, me and my wife didn't have a church home. And then we recently found one. And they're church planners. Like they don't even have, like they meet at a hotel. And my pastor has even been telling me, like, he's like, oh, yeah, your YouTube thing, you need to do that, brother, like, for the kingdom. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends because of that. Like, I'm
by
the
way, you're the second person, this is the second person this weekend that's told me that they've lost friends over some of the red pill stuff.
Not even just the red pill stuff, just in general. Like, honestly, I've lost subscribers and people aren't friends with me since the Jesus just speaking truth from that context. And I know this may sound weird, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I definitely believe you're more mature in the faith than I am. I would argue that there are some red pill truths that kind of like they are, I want to say biblical. They could be traced back there. And I think sometimes like when Kevin Samuels is like, oh, I ran singles ministry and blah, 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 and this and that. And like what's ironic about the red pill guys is they love to talk about how marriage and like, oh, they love to tell women like, oh, you're not wife material, you're not this material. But it's like, my G, you're not looking for a wife. You're not, that's not a priority. You're not teaching men how to look for wives. You're not teaching men how to
create assessment
your family. This is an excuse to feed your flesh and do what you want and to be mean and bitter and hold on to whatever problems you have with, you know, your mother. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. Here's a bad example, but a good example, right? So I use Ben Shapiro as an example. We can look at the far left example of the Young Turks, and we can say, they're presenting some good problems, right? They're presenting some good problems, like wealth inequality is a thing, the cost of living is a thing, right? But what are their conclusions? If the conclusion is Marxism or socialism, then we have to go, no, you crossed the line. We can't go there. Like, that's bad. We know Marxism, communism, socialism is bad, right? Or at least in the way that they would probably come to that conclusion.
Ruslan, I got you to finally say it directly.
I've made multiple videos about Marxism.
Well, personally, I haven't. Oh, God bless you.
Okay, so
thank you.
Yeah, well, the whole communism thing is funny because I actually come from real communism. So like, whenever somebody says,
I know that's
something about me being a communist,
like that's why I had to apologize earlier. I was like, oh my gosh.
But you see what I'm saying? Like if we were to look at the Young Turks or fill in the blank, right? Someone that's on the left and reasonable, we would say they're presenting actual problems. Like, these are real problems that real people are dealing with. Inflation, cost of living, college, student loan. These are real problems. But if the conclusion becomes, well, we got to jump out the window and the government just needs to take care of everybody and we need to print more money, then we go, whoa. No, no. That's bad. We know that's bad because we've seen it in Venezuela. We've seen how this plays out, and you know what I mean, in other parts. So that's where now if the conclusion is, hey, we need to create more safety nets. I hate to keep going back to politics. We need to create more safety nets like the Scandinavian nations. Okay. Everybody willing to pay more taxes? If we're all willing to pay more taxes collectively, like they do in Sweden, well then, that could be a conversation, but the issue is the way this is being presented is we're just going to tax the rich. That's a bad conclusion, right? So in Sweden, everybody's like, Sweden, Scandinavian. Oh, fam, look at the tax rate in Sweden. Like, that is not a socialist nation. Like, they're a capitalistic nation where everybody just pays more taxes for more safety nets. If that's something we want in America, we can have that conversation. However, let's not act like the rich are just always going to pay for all the taxes, because at some point, there's this thing called wealth flight where you can just go live in Puerto Rico for 6 months out of the year and pay no taxes or 4% of taxes, right? Because you could go live in other states, right? Everybody's leaving California right now. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't mean to get all like capitalistic and all that thing, but that's what I mean. Like, when the conclusion becomes this outlandish idea of everybody who makes more money is just going to pay more in taxes. No. They're just going to hire better accountants because they're smarter than the IRS. That's what's going to happen. And then they're going to move to another state for 6 months and 1 day out of the year, and they're going to finesse this stuff. What is the conclusion of the proposed argument? The conclusion of socialism or democratic socialism is, hey, you know what? Average person pays 15% in taxes. Let's double that to 30% in taxes, and then we can get universal health care, and we can get this, and we can get that, we can get that. Okay. That's a conversation people should be willing to have. But the conclusion isn't that. The conclusion is tax the rich need to pay their fair share. And it's like, that's such a shallow view of how money and wealth works, right? And the same thing with women.
Fair.
Yeah.
Personally, like when I hear that, I'm like, well, why?
Right.
Like, just because he has more? Like, I mean, you gotta give me a better reason. And no one can ever give me a better reason. I have one friend, he's just like, I'm so for socialism. I'm like, how can you say that?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you even know what you're talking about? Right.
So anyway, this is not a socialism's all evil or capitalism's the best. It's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum. It's a confidence parameter on what that even means. We have a type of hybrid system here now. Spro, I'm excited to check out some of your content, bro. I like the titles and the thumbnails. Your stuff is cool. So I got your channel pulled up, and I dropped it in the chat if you guys want to check out Spro on YouTube. It's called The Spro Show. Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan. Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Make sure you check out the links in its description for some free resources, including a free Master My Devo course, a free Master My Niche course if you're looking to get into the YouTube space, and a free training course I put together with my Christian therapist, Dr. Rudy, to help you form freedom-forming habits. And check out some of these other videos recommended from me and YouTube to you. All right? Peace. Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.